And so it begins. All right, nice. Just getting set up here. Making sure lighting's not terrible for everybody. Am I always this zoomed in? Feel too zoomed in. All right, how's the sound? We got anything weird going on? Do I sound all right? Good morning. All right, good. Thanks for that confirmation. All right, I'm going to pour my beer and get ready. So sad to almost be done, but exciting at the same time. I think I'm going to have to read the last little bit of the last chapter just to put myself in the right mindset. And that's kind of become a little tradition of mine anyway. Helps me soak in all these moments. Thank you, Joe Mama. Appreciate it. And you know, you're not the only person to say that. Lots of good stuff ahead. Pretty exciting. Ooh, that's good. Ilani, it's called. Zigmeister. I've had this one before. Tasty. Oh, you know, that's a great point. I can read it again. A lot of you guys seem to have a rhythm to your readings. Thomas? Hey. And friends of mine have done that too, where they say every 2 years, every 5 years, every year, some people. My friend's dad, I've been wanting to talk to him about it for a while. He was one of the people who, in early life, I respected that he was reading the books, and he would tell us about little things here and there. I believe he still reads it every single year. And I just want to talk about it. But sometimes I don't even know what questions I want to ask. I just want to hear people's perspective on this world, their favorite characters, their favorite moments, the parts that make them cry, you know? And I don't even think I've fully thought those questions or answers through. But at some point, I'm going to have to sit down and make some decisions. And I'm sure every time I read, I'm going to discover new things. Maybe change favorite characters, favorite parts, learn new things. So, yeah. Wow, interesting. Different parts make you cry every time. Greetings, Haley. Whoa, the Apollo. Excellent. Since the Harry Potter days. And you know, that brings something else up. I want to go back and read Harry Potter again. And I was thinking read through the whole series before the show comes out. This would be my second read. But then maybe the right way is to read while the show is airing. So read the books as they go, assuming they're not doing anything funky with timelines. It wouldn't surprise me if they did that, but I'm hoping they keep more of a traditional, splitting of the series into the 7 sections, even though they say it's going to be 10 seasons, I think. I'm trying not to read too much into it, and I didn't even watch the trailer that came out. But what I do know is I'm going to read into those books. So, yeah, timing. What's next? Maybe I'll do a classic. John's been reading a couple good classics. Maybe Game of Thrones has been calling to me a little bit. It's been years. That'll be a second time read. All right, let me take a peek. And there's the Silmarillion, of course. Another one that's going to come up soon. All right, so the last chapter I was doing, The Field of Cormallen. I'm just going to skim back a little bit. Prince Imrahil. Wow, I scribbled too much in the margins. Can't even read my own writing. Oh, Gimli saved him. Oh, man. What a sweet little touch that we now find out that Gimli saves the day, looking around for hobbit feet. But for Gimli the dwarf, you would have been lost then. Wow. Crazy. I feel like I'm still processing this whole thing with Legolas and the sea, because I feel like I'm not fully understanding it. Or maybe the depth of it hasn't quite hit me yet. Is that the Grey Havens? Is that like he can no longer be in Middle Earth because of this, the sea is calling to him? Maybe I'm having trouble processing that because the sea that he was exposed to was the sea on the south side, not west, right? Yeah, when he was coming around after he went through the mountains and they had the army of the dead. But I guess that was kind of the Bay of Belfalas. It really is the same sea, that's southwest. But is that what it is? That now he knows it's kind of the beginning of the end of his time in Middle Earth? Long live the halflings. Praise them with great praise. We're in a crazy time where AI can come up with some of these songs, which is kind of cool. I forgot to use my goblet. I want to put some of these songs into AI and see what they come up with. I wonder if I can do that with a picture. Just testing out this technology because might as well. Cropping it down so only the proper words are included, of course. But there's going to be copyright issues. They're not going to let me. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, like the stream. Make this into a song, period. It's at the end of Lord of the Rings, so give it a slightly medieval vibe and use the words as context to give you a clue about how the rest of the song should sound. And I said period. What a millennial thing to do. All right. Let's see. Let's see if it does anything with this. All right, Anna. Happy to be here at bedtime, you know? I am curious why it's telling me it's generating a 30s track. Oh, what? No, it's 30 seconds. 30S. Here I am thinking 30s, like it's going to be some kind of weird ragtime something. I'm going to go back and do a bunch of the dwarf songs because they're cool. John did a pretty good rendition of one of those. And they're awesome. Why, look, Mr. Frodo, look here. Well, if it isn't Pippin, Mr. Peregrine Took, I should say, and Mr. Merry. How they have grown. Wow, first thing he says, how they have grown. Bless me, but I can see there's more tales to tell than ours. If you haven't seen someone for this long, they would actually, like, that's just funny that they would, that's what they would say. All right, now, this is fascinating to me that I guess it just knows, because I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it knew that this was Lord of the Rings, I guess. It's showing Frodo and Sam in the center, and it's called Cormacollendor. I don't know, that just sounds so right, even though that wasn't mentioned in here. Oh, no, that was. It was mentioned at the end. Oh, my. Wow. All right. Okay. All right. Enough. Wow. What a time to be alive. Sounded pretty good. I like the choir approach to this thing. It kind of gives the right vibes. And they were crushing Elvish. How in the world is it able to do Elvish so quickly? And they put the trumpets in there, even though I cropped it so that it wouldn't include the lines above. Spears were shaken, horns and trumpets sang, but they just knew to do horns and trumpets on this one. Wow, fascinating. And I'm going to do that for all of these songs. This is the right length. It did cut out just that last line there. Whoa, I'm going to have some fun with this. And then I feel like we need to turn all these songs into modern songs as well. Yeah, pretty psyched about that. All right, back to it. Let me just refresh my memory on the final 2 pages. Yeah, but for Gimli the dwarf. At least now I know the look of a hobbit's foot, though it be all that can be seen under a heap of bodies. Heaved that great carcass off you, I made sure you were dead. I could have torn out my beard, and it is only a day yet since you were first up and abroad again. To bed now you go, and so shall I. And I, said Legolas, shall walk in the woods of this fair land, which is rest enough. Rest enough. Yeah, he doesn't really rest, right? They don't need sleep like the rest of the people of Middle-earth. Rest of the beings. In days to come, if my elven lord allows, some of our folk shall remove hither, and when we come it shall be blessed. For a while, a month, a life, 100 years of men, but Anduin is near, and Anduin leads down to the sea. Then he sings his song, and so singing Legolas went away down the hill. Joe Mama, class starts in 3 minutes. Oh, nice. Thank you so much. Enjoy class. I don't know if you are teaching or if you are being taught, but I hope it goes well. And if this is you hours later, catching up, welcome back. Then the others also departed, and Frodo and Sam went to their beds and slept. And in the morning they rose again in hope and peace. Ah, what a nice way to say that. Got to keep my pen out. Love these things. They rose again in hope and peace, in contrast to how they have probably felt for a long, long time now. They wandered here and there, visiting places they had passed before, and Sam hoped always in the shadow of the woods or secret glade to catch maybe a glimpse of the great Oliphant. And I'm probably already said this last week, but I'm remembering the last time we saw that Oliphant. It was said in a way like the Oliphant's still out there, wandering around in those woods, and is seen from time to time. I might be making that last part up. But the idea being, it is written down that it is still there somewhere. But I guess Sam didn't get to see it, at least not in this moment. All right, the host is making ready for the return. Oh, and when he learned the siege of Gondor had been a great number of these beasts, but they were all destroyed, he thought it a sad loss. I mean, it is sad, right? Isn't that so weird when animals get involved in anything with war, or where they're being trained to do something negative, and then it's like, you in a battle, what are you going to do? But it stinks to lose some great critters. It feels like not fair to get them involved in things of men and orcs. In the meanwhile, the host made ready for the return to Minas Tirith. The weary rested, and the hurt were healed. For some had labored and fought much with the remnants of the Easterlings and Southrons. You told me how to say this. Southrons, I think we said, until all were subdued. And latest of all, those who returned had passed into Mordor and destroyed the fortresses in the north of the land. But at last, when the month of May was drawing near, the captains of the west set out again, board ships. Caer, Andros, Anduin, Osgiliath remained for one day, and then to the green fields of the Pelennor, and saw again the white towers under tall Mindoluin, the city of the men of Gondor, last memory of Westerness, that had passed through the darkness and fire to a new day. And there, in the middle of the fields, they set up their pavilions and awaited the morning. For it was the eve of May, and the king would enter his gates with the rising of the sun. Purposefully timed, I guess, the rising of the sun. Seems fitting. Seems like an early start to the day. All right. Feels like that was a good reminder of where we're at. Now, the chapter is called The Steward and the King. Interesting to me because I'm hoping it is drama-free, but it is kind of a transition of power, and it is a big moment, and Faramir is a good dude, and the people of Gondor seem happy and thankful. But I'm just curious what differences will be shown here. And I think last time we talked a little about stewards still exist when there's a king. They are helping the king. They're there to support him and maybe even do a lot of the ruling and admin stuff. So it's not like that role is gone. So I'm curious, will Faramir stay here and continue in his role as steward? There's no further generations at the moment. Boromir has no kids. Faramir has no kids. Aragorn has no kids. So, yeah, curious what that will look like, and how much this chapter will actually tell us. But I was excited about how much book is left, and then I did a little flipping over into the appendix and realized there's not that much book left because the appendices are large. So it's actually just this thin little bit. Not too many chapters. So we're here, soaking it in together. This chapter tells us a whole lot. All right. Good, good, good. I like that. And the other thing that's interesting is timelines. I think we've been fairly straightforward. It's been linear, day by day, so to speak. Maybe a week or two might pass here and there, but it's been short term. But now we're in the zone where we could pass many years and say one sentence could pass years and years and years. And they stayed for 10 years in the city of Gondor. And Frodo and Sam did blah, blah, blah. And so I'm curious if there's going to be any time jumps here. Big passings of time where for the last few chapters it has been sometimes a chapter will be one day. I don't know if we've ever gone that short, but you get the idea. All right. Over the city of Gondor, doubt and great dread had hung. Fair weather and clear sun had seemed but a mockery to men whose days held little hope, and who looked each morning for news of doom. Their lord was dead and burned. Ooh. Dead lay the king of Rohan in their citadel, and the new king that had come to them in the night was gone again to a war with powers too dark and terrible for any might or valor to conquer. I mean, I'm always blown away. He's such a good writer. And no news came. After the host left Morgul Vale and took the northward road beneath the shadow of the mountains, no messenger had returned, nor any rumor of what was passing in the brooding east. I don't know this, but I'm feeling like no messenger returned because getting news back to people was not important. There is one thing that's important here, and they were doing that important thing. And they weren't going to lose a single man to spread news because every single person was needed on this battle to increase Frodo's chances. It was their last hope. And if they failed, one messenger running back to tell them would make no difference in the long run. So all those messengers stayed to fight. That's what I'm saying. When the captains were but 2 days gone, the Lady Éowyn bade the women who tended her to bring her raiment, and she would not be gainsaid. These are words I don't use, but rose. And when they had clothed her and set her arm in a sling of linen, she went to the warden of the houses of healing. The warden is that lady who's like sassy and we kind of like her, right? Or not, because she says, sir. Which one's the warden? I felt like we met the warden. Gainsaid, told no. All right, now I got to read this again, make sure I know. She would not be gainsaid. She would not be told no. So she rose and clothed, goes to the warden. Long-winded guy. Yeah. I like him too, to be honest, even if he is a little annoying. At least like funny, not annoying, wrong word. But and that chapter was really funny in general. So I'm excited to go back and read that one. Aragorn was crushing it that chapter. Made me laugh out loud a couple times. And thank you for helping me with the random things I don't remember. Oh, there was an audiobook pulled from YouTube. Well, we don't want to get pulled, so good thing I'm adding lots of commentary in here. No issues with copyright here. Sir, she said, I am in great unrest, and I cannot lie longer in sloth. Lady, he answered, you are not yet healed, and I was commanded to tend you with especial care. You should not have risen from your bed for 7 days yet, or so I was bidden. I beg you to go back. I am healed, she said, healed at least in body, save my arm only, and that is at ease. But I shall sicken anew if there is naught that I can do. Are there no tidings of war? The women can tell me nothing. There are no tidings, said the warden, save that the lords have ridden to Morgul Vale, and men say that the new captain out of the north is their chief. The new captain out of the north, meaning Aragorn. A great lord is that, and a healer, and it is a thing passing strange to me that the healing hand should also wield the sword. Ooh, interesting. So true. That is strange. But is not thus in Gondor now, though once it was so, if old tales be true. But for long years we healers have only sought to patch the rents made by men of the swords. Though we should still have enough to do without them, the world is full enough of hurts and mischances without wars to multiply them. You know, that's a good old line and feels relevant in this day and age, right? Enough said. The world is full enough of hurts and mischances without wars to multiply them. It needs but one foe to breed a war, not two, Master Warden, answered Éowyn, and those who have not swords can still die upon them. Would you have the folk of Gondor gather your herbs only when the Dark Lord gathers armies? And it is not always good to be healed in body, nor is it always evil to die in battle, even in bitter pain. Were I permitted in this dark hour, I would choose the latter. Wow. She is a brave one. The warden looked at her. Tall she stood there, her eyes bright in her white face, her hand clenched as she turned and gazed out of his window that opened to the east. He sighed and shook his head. After a pause, she turned to him again. Is there no deed to do? She said. Who commands in this city? I do not rightly know, he answered. Such things are not my care. There is a marshal over the riders of Rohan, and the Lord Hurin I am told, commands the men of Gondor, but the Lord Faramir is by right the steward of the city. Where can I find him? In this house, lady. He was sorely hurt, but is now set again on the way to health. But I do not know. Will you not bring me to him? Then you will know. I do not know. Will you not bring me to him? Then you will know. Okay, yeah, so true. So he's getting better. He's feeling good. I like this energy. Sorry, I hope that wasn't in anyone's ears. The Lord Faramir was walking alone in the garden of the houses of healing, and the sunlight warmed him, and he felt life run anew in his veins. But his heart was heavy, and he looked out over the walls eastward, and coming, the warden spoke his name, and he turned and saw the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, and he was moved with pity, for he saw that she was hurt, and his clear sight perceived her sorrow and unrest. His clear sight. So we said that this clear sight, this wording makes me think of this special. This is not just human eyes seeing. This is deep within his bloodline. You know, a special skill not many have. Perceiving more than the average person would. So he is perceiving her sorrow and unrest. My lord, said the warden, here is the Lady Eowyn of Rohan. She rode with the king and was sorely hurt, and dwells now in my keeping. But she is not content, and she wishes to speak to the steward of the city. Do not misunderstand him, lord, said Eowyn. It is not lack of care that grieves me. No houses could be fairer for those who desire to be healed. But I cannot lie in sloth, idle, caged. I look for death in battle, but I have not died, and battle still goes on. That wording is a little bit more intense to me. The other wording felt more like I would choose to die in battle over other things. But this is more like I am seeking to die in battle, and I'm still alive, and the battle's going on, so let me at it. This is a little more concerning to me. Ken T, good morning. Welcome, and Sylvia. Yeah, this is already an interesting chapter to me. I didn't think this is where it was going to start. And I love that Faramir is pity. I don't love pity. And maybe that's a movie thing, but didn't she say that in the books too? Like, she doesn't want pity. So it's interesting that Faramir's first thought was pity, that he pitied her for being hurt, etc. So let's see if he changes his mind. I have not died, and the battle still goes on. At a sign from Faramir, the warden bowed and departed. What would you have me do, lady? Said Faramir. I am also a prisoner of the healers. He looked at her, and being a man whom pity deeply stirred, there's the pity again, it seemed to him that her loveliness amid her grief would pierce his heart. And she looked at him and saw the grave tenderness in his eyes, and yet knew, for she was bred among men of war, that here was one whom no rider of the mark would outmatch in battle. Whoa. You know, it's funny to read this. I'm accidentally picturing movie Faramir. I have to reset again. No offense to those who are loving movie Faramir. I did too. Until I started reading and book Faramir, he strikes me a little different than movie Faramir does. He seems bigger, more intense. I think movie Faramir does capture this like mischievous skill. He can pierce you with his eyes. He sees deeper than surface level. But it's maybe I think he should be a little fairer and more intense, a warrior, taller. Because it's moments like this. He could see, or she could see the grave tenderness in his eyes, and yet knew, for she was bred among men of war, that here was one whom no rider of the mark would outmatch in battle. No rider of the mark? She's talking about her own dudes. So, intense. Or she's just so instantly love struck that she's like, you know what? I think this is the best man I've ever seen. What do you wish? He said again. If it lies in my power, I will do it. I would have you command this warden and bid him let me go, she said. But though her words were still proud, her heart faltered. And for the first time, she doubted herself. She guessed that this tall man, both stern and gentle, might think her merely wayward, like a child that has not the firmness of mind to go on with a dull task to the end. I myself am in the warden's keeping, answered Faramir, nor have I yet taken up my authority in the city. But had I done so, I should still listen to his counsel, and should not cross his will in matters of his craft, unless in some great need. He's wise. Faramir is wise. He's like being practical to start, and then he's like, yeah, but even if I would listen to a dude who knows better about this stuff, but then he gives that little out at the end, unless there was some great need. All right. So, you know what? Convince me, he's saying. Is there something of great need? Why would I go against the warden on this one? I trust him. I don't even have the power anyway. But I do not desire healing, she said. I wish to ride to war like my brother Eomer, or better like Theoden the king, for he died and has both honor and peace. It is too late, lady, to follow the captains. No, that was too harsh. He's not saying it like that. He's being more gentle and tender. It is too late, lady, to follow the captains, even if you had the strength, said Faramir. But death and battle may come to us all yet, willing or unwilling. You will be better prepared to face it in your own manner, if while there is still time you do as the healer commanded. You and I, we must endure with patience the hours of waiting. She did not answer, but as he looked at her, it seemed to him that something in her softened. Because he said, you and I, we can wait together, huh? As though a bitter frost were yielding at the first faint presage of spring. A tear sprang in her eye and fell down her cheek like a glistening raindrop. Her proud head drooped a little, then quietly, more as if speaking to herself than to him. But the healers would have me lie abed 7 days yet, she said, and my window does not look eastward. Her voice was now that of a maiden young and sad. And her window does not look eastward. I mean, it's mentioned eastward like 4 times in this chapter already. So we'll get to that, Haley. Is the eastward, is that because of the sun rising and hope and, that general idea? Or is it specifically so she will be able to see the army returning as soon as possible? Or even see a messenger to know that there's word coming? I feel like maybe it's that, or it could be a little both. No, I don't think she's so concerned about the lighting in her place of keeping. Also, smooth move. Is she trying to get into Faramir's place here? If I had a nice window view, Faramir, like you have. Thank you, Sarah. At the armies. Now, is this, you think, a general direction of just sending her vibes towards the army, just knowing that they're out there? Or is it more specific? She is waiting to see them return with hope that they will return. You know what? Either. Both. Just maintaining that connection because it's all she has at the moment. I get that idea. Oh, and then Haley even includes Eomer. Yeah, that's the craziest part about what she says, the men of the mark. Including Eomer, it is hard to picture that. It's hard to picture movie Faramir out competing Eomer in movie book, how I'm viewing him. So crazy for her to say that. Wow. She wants to look after Aragorn. Yeah, I'm curious how much romance is left in her heart towards Aragorn now. You guys are so helpful. Presage, hint. I feel like I have to read these again. What is happening to the world? People don't take vocab anymore. You know what? It's too far back. I can't go read it again. Her voice now of a maiden, young and sad. Faramir smiled, though his heart was filled with pity. There's that pity again. Your window does not look eastward, he said. That can be amended. In this I will command the warden. If you will stay in this house in our care, lady, and take your rest, then you shall walk in the garden in the sun, and you shall look east, whither all our hopes have gone. And here you will find me, walking and waiting, and also looking east. It would ease my care if you would speak to me, or walk at whiles with me. Then she raised her head, and looked him in the eyes again, and a color came in her pale face. How should I ease your care, my lord? She said, and I do not desire the speech of living men. Yay. Mixed signals here, all right? He's saying, if you would speak to me. And then she's like, yeah, I don't want to speak to you. That's how that feels. Would you have my plain answer, he said. I would. Then, Eowyn of Rohan, I say to you that you are beautiful. In the valleys of our hills there are flowers fair and bright, and maidens fairer still. But neither flower nor lady have I seen till now in Gondor so lovely and so sorrowful. It may be that only a few days are left ere darkness falls upon our world, and when it comes, I hope to face it steadily. But it would ease my heart if while the sun yet shines, I could see you still. For you and I have both passed under the wings of the shadow, and the same hand drew us back. Ooh, good lines. Good lines. Fairer than flowers and all the other maidens in the land. Yeah, he knows what's up. Good lines. Smooth talker here. And then, I mean, he's being real too. He's like, I mean, we're kind of at the end of the world here. Like, there is a chance we have days or hours to live. And that would be easier with a friend by my side, or more than a friend. Good reminder, Gilhope, that regardless of the romance or past romance, even if it isn't now for Aragorn, Eowyn still views him as worthy of following him into battle. Yeah, you're right. And feels bad on some level that he's out there and she can't be. Well, not some level, on most levels. Love that Faramir is being this direct. And he said, would you have my plain answer? He's like, you really want me to tell you? She said, yes. Boom, she got it. Alas, not me, Lord, she said. Shadow lies on me still. Look not to me for healing. I am a shield maiden, and my hand is ungentle. But I thank you for this at least, that I need not keep to my chamber. I will walk abroad by the grace of the steward of the city. And she did him a courtesy and walked back to the house. But Faramir, for a long while, walked alone in the garden, and his glance now strayed rather to the house than to the eastward walls. Well, he's thinking more about her than things going on. Well, then, I guess she's helping him already. I think we got one shot in the movies, and it might not even been theatrical, maybe just the extended edition, of them standing in this garden looking east. When he returned to his chamber, he called for the warden, and heard all that he could tell of the Lady of Rohan. But I doubt not, Lord, said the warden, that you would learn more from the halfling that is with us, for he was in the riding of the king, and with the lady at the end, they say. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Mary's here, yeah. And so Mary was sent to Faramir. And while that day lasted, and he found the right person, Eowyn is kind of a little tough nut to crack. Mary? Any of the hobbits, they'll talk for days. They're totally down to hang out and yuck it up, you know? So I feel like he's finding the right person. I want them to be great friends. Again, apologize. I don't have my full voice today. I'm having to clear my throat so much. Wow, Haley, that's only extended? Thanks for confirming that. So much missed. The theatrical version, even at 3 hours, feels way too short. Am I crazy? Or did I hear somewhere on the internet a rumor? Is there any truth to it that they were going to try and turn the Lord of the Rings books into a TV show? Heard that rumor. Don't know if it's true. I know they're still doing the Hunt for Gollum, developing things like that. I'm trying to stay spoiler free, but I'm excited about the idea. But turning these into a show could do it justice. There is a lot to be said. But it wouldn't be necessarily the action that some people would want it to be. I want to see a slower paced show that truly follows this pace and relaxes in some of the quieter moments. Because, I could tone those movies down. Wait, what? I don't know if you're joking, hobo. A Tom Bombadil movie. All right, Ken, if you didn't hear it, I trust that you would have. Maybe it was just a rumor. So, all right, good. Yeah, I'm glad John says that too, because it'd be so great. I guess I do love reading. Wow, never thought I'd say that. Even though since Harry Potter, I now can say that truly, and I have been, it still rocks me a little bit. Like, high school and middle school me would be like, there's no shot you would ever. So anyway, I do love reading, but there is something to be said for the visuals, movies, and what they can do to tell a story. So I would love to see a good TV show about this. All right, let's see. Mary was sent to Faramir, and while that day lasted, they talked long together, and Faramir learned much, more even than Mary put into words. Ooh, he learned more than Mary put into words. He's reading between the lines. Faramir is like a master interrogator. And he sees those emotions. He reads people like a book. And he thought that he understood now something of the grief and unrest of Eowyn of Rohan. And in the fair evening, Faramir and Mary walked in the garden, but she did not come. What's she doing that she is not over here? But in the morning, as Faramir came from the houses, he saw her, as she stood upon the walls, and she was clad in all white, and gleamed in the sun. And he called to her, and she came down, and they walked on the grass, or sat under a green tree together, now in silence, now in speech. And each day after, they did likewise. And the warden, looking from his window, was glad in heart. Oh, that little softy! The warden, love that. For he was a healer, and his care was lightened. I thought he was a hopeless romantic here. He's just like, less work for me to do. No, I think he was glad in heart, not just because work was less. He's happy to see them happy. His care was lightened, and certain it was that heavy as was the dread and foreboding of those days upon the hearts of men, still these two of his charges prospered and grew daily in strength. So it's like he's happy for them. He's happy for humanity that this is even possible in such dark times. And it's actually helping them heal, which makes his job easier. Nice. And so the 5th day came, since the Lady Eowyn went first to Faramir. All right, so only 2 days left of her official warden healing. And they stood together once more upon the walls of the city and looked out. No tidings had yet come, and all hearts were darkened. The weather, too, was bright no longer. It was cold. A wind that had sprung up in the night was blowing now keenly from the north, and it was rising. But the lands looked gray and drear. I'm just trying to think of the timing. So this is as, like, we're back now in time. The ring is not yet destroyed. Evil is still growing. Am I correct in that? I think so. 6 episodes, 2 hours long. 7th episode for the appendices. Whoa! But 6 episodes, 2 hours long. 7th. You know what, Sylvia? I think we still need more. That's only barely more than movie length, you know? And my instinct is when you say that 6 episodes, 2 hours long, I'm thinking per Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. 36 episodes or 36 hours total. 18 episodes in total, plus appendices. Merry is the most prudent of hobbits. Yeah, you're right. Good reminder that he's not the same way Pippin is. He's more careful. Yeah, you're right. So he's not blabbing. It's still unfortunate that, well, not unfortunate. We trust Faramir, so it's fine. But Faramir is going to be able to pick up on all that, whether he blabs or not. And I hope he would still trust Faramir enough. He can pick up the vibes that he's a trustworthy guy and be more open to just free in his discussion. But you're right. I'm glad he would be wise. He'd be prudent in this. Yeah, it'd be quite a series. And yes, plenty of chapters about pipeweed. It's a main character at this point. All right, wait, I went too far. Okay. Cold, gray, drear. They were clad in warm raiment. I keep saying raiment? What? Raiment and heavy cloaks. And over all the Lady Éowyn wore a great blue mantle of the color of deep summer night, and it was set with silver stars about hem and throat. Faramir had sent for this robe, and had wrapped it about her, and he thought that she looked fair and queenly indeed as she stood there at his side. The mantle was wrought for his mother, Finduilis, Finduilas of Amroth, who died untimely, and was to him but a memory of loveliness in far days, and of his first grief. And her robe seemed to him raiment fitting for the beauty and sadness of Éowyn. Touching. Interesting. Died untimely. His first grief. So he doesn't have a lot of great memories, but he remembers her loveliness. I'm curious why it's fitting of the beauty and sadness of Éowyn. I wonder if there was a sadness in his mother, and why. And would she be sad to be married to Denethor? Because I would be. No offense, Denethor. He's grown on me a little bit, actually. I like book Denethor a lot more than movie. And I can imagine a past where he was quite a good guy. But I could imagine a past where he would contribute to potential beauty and sadness of Faramir's mother as well. But she now shivered beneath the starry mantle, and she looked northward, above the grey hitherlands, into the eye of the cold wind, where far away the sky was hard and clear. "What do you look for, Éowyn?" said Faramir. "Does not the black gate lie yonder?" she said, "and must he not now come thither? It is 7 days since he rode away." 7 days, said Faramir, "but think not ill of me if I say to you, they have brought me both a joy and a pain that I never thought to know. Joy to see you, but pain because now the fear and doubt of this evil time are grown dark indeed. Éowyn, I would not have this world end now, or lose so soon what I have found." "Lose what you have found, Lord?" she answered, but she looked at him gravely, and her eyes were kind. Looked at him gravely, and her eyes were kind. Does she know? Come on. Like, what do you mean? What he found? He found you. He wants more time with you. She playing dumb? She being playful? I love that there can be romance in this. Yeah, interesting. You know what? Wait, why is everyone saying read the appendices? Oh, and Sarah retracted something. Ooh, Gilhope, 1 episode per chapter. Ooh, yes. Yes, indeed. I know shows don't do this, but I would like if shows were more like chapters where you don't know how long they're going to be. So if it followed the chapters perfectly, you could have episodes that might only be a half hour, 40 minutes, and you could have episodes that could be an hour and a half, depending on what needs to be covered. And because I'm a person who hates spoilers, I don't want to even know how long something is. When I pause, I try to not look at the TV because I don't want to know how much time is remaining in a movie or a show. So that idea of not even knowing theoretically how long an episode might be would be so fun to just like let it come as long as it will be. It will be. That'd be cool. Wow, that's what you're saying, Sarah? Awesome. We learn more about Faramir's mother in the appendices. That's so great. The power of these appendices, incredible. I like that kind of storytelling where he's trying to pack all this info in, and he's like, it doesn't fit within the chapters, but I want people to know. Just incredible. Really cool. All right, let's see how much dumb Eowyn is playing. Lose what you have found, Lord? She answered. But she looked at him gravely, and her eyes were kind. I know not what in these days you have found that you could lose. But come, my friend, let us not speak of it. Okay, come on, Let us not speak at all. I stand upon some dreadful brink, and it is utterly dark in the abyss before my feet. But whether there is any light behind me I cannot tell, for I cannot turn yet. I wait for some stroke of doom. Yes, we wait for the stroke of doom, said Faramir. And they said no more, and it seemed to them, as they stood upon the wall, that the wind died, and the light faded. And the sun was bleared, and all sounds in the city or in the lands about were hushed. Neither wind nor voice, nor bird call, nor rustle of leaf, nor their own breath could be heard. The very beating of their hearts was stilled. Time halted. Did it? I'm trying to think of what this exact moment is where it feels this way. Narrative packed into the appendices. Ooh, yeah, I love this. That's not at all how I pictured it. I pictured it like reading a dictionary, a little more like definitions and all that. Everyone's doing some symbol. What is this symbol? It looks like a character I don't know with a little A in the bottom. End of the end. And then Anna just did it again. Is that appendices? I don't know. And then Sarah did it. Is this some secret symbol? I don't know what this is about. And as they stood, their hands met and clasped, though they did not know it. And still they waited, for they knew not what. Then presently it seemed to them that above the ridges of the distant mountains another vast mountain of darkness rose, towering up like a wave that should engulf the world. And about it lightnings flickered. And then a tremor ran through the earth, and they felt the walls of the city quiver. A sound like a sigh went up from all the lands about them, and their hearts beat suddenly again. That's the moment Sauron is defeated. It reminds me of Numenor, said Faramir, and wondered to hear himself speak. Of Numenor, said Eowyn. Yes, said Faramir, of the land of Westerness that foundered, and of the great dark wave climbing over the green lands and above the hills and coming on, darkness unescapable. I often dream of it. All right, wait, that threw me off. Then you think that darkness is coming, said Eowyn? Darkness unescapable? And suddenly she drew close to him. No, said Faramir, looking into her face. It was but a picture in the mind. I do not know what is happening. The reason of my waking mind tells me that great evil has befallen, and we stand at the end of days. But my heart says nay, and all my limbs are light, and a hope and joy are come to me that no reason can deny. So it's a head versus heart thing where he's like, I feel joy. And well, it's weird because in this moment I'm thinking that Sauron got destroyed, and then it was like time stopped, and I'm curious how much truth there is to that time stopping. But Sauron's destroyed, and his first thought is Numenor, and I'm like, whoa, Numenor! What was that timing? Was before Sauron, or Sauron was lessened? And as soon as Sauron's destroyed, his first thought is like Numenor again. But then it's just weird that right after that, he's talking about a great dark wave. That throws me off. But then by the end of the next paragraph, he's saying, my limbs are light. Hope and joy are come to me that no reason can deny. So it feels like he's torn. He's like, wait, it can't be that there's actual hope, but I feel hope. You catch my drift? Eowyn, White Lady of Rohan, in this hour, I do not believe that any darkness will endure. And he stooped and kissed her brow. He's riding this wave of not darkness, of light. He just so quickly knew. He's like, wait, hold up. I think we're going to win. Or maybe we already did, but he's too afraid to say it. How much does he know? How perceptive is he, this man of Numenor? And so they stood on the walls of the city of Gondor, and a great wind rose and blew, and their hair, raven and golden, streamed out mingled in the air. Oh, so Faramir's got, big old long locks. And the shadow departed, and the sun was unveiled, and light leapt forth, and the waters of Anduin shone like silver. And in all houses of the city, men sang for joy that welled up in their hearts from what source they could not tell. Wow, the joy was that palpable that they were all just like psyched. They're singing. They're excited. And before the sun had fallen far from the noon out of the east, there came a great eagle flying, and he bore tidings beyond hope from the lords of the west. Good move. Messenger time. Black hair. Oh, Faramir has black hair. I was thinking it was saying their golden hair was flying together. Raven and golden. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, I just totally missed it because I was thinking raven was an adjective to describe hair, and it meant something else. And we're talking about ravens that are black. Totally makes sense. Streamed out, mingling in air. His hair was not black in the movies, to my memory. All right, let's hear the song of the eagles. Tidings beyond hope. From the lords of the west, crying, sing now, ye people of the Tower of Anor, for the realm of Sauron is ended forever. The dark tower is thrown down. Sing and rejoice, ye people of the Tower of Guard, for your watch hath not been in vain, and the black gate is broken, and your king hath passed through, and he is victorious. Sing and be glad, all ye children of the west, for your king shall come again, and he shall dwell among you all the days of your life. And the tree that was withered shall be renewed, and he shall plant it in the high places, and the city shall be blessed. Sing, all ye people. And the people sang in all the ways of the city. That's great. An eagle song. Whoa. I don't think that had any rhyming pattern to it, at least not that I caught, so hope I didn't butcher that. What's the deal with the tree? I thought the tree was already up there, but now they're saying the tree that was withered, all right, got that much. It was like white tree, right? Shall be renewed. Cool. He shall plant it in the high places. Is it not already planted? Are you going to uproot this tree? Or is this switch to metaphor? Plant it in the high places. Did they move the tree? Is there a higher place than it's currently situated? Not sure. The days that followed were golden, and spring and summer joined and made revel together in the fields of Gondor. And tidings now came by swift riders from Caer Andros of all that was done, and the city made ready for the coming of the king. Mary was summoned and rode away with the wains that took the store of goods to Osgiliath, and thence by ship to Caer Andros. But Faramir did not go. For now, being healed, he took upon him his authority and the stewardship, although it was only for a little while, and his duty was to prepare for the one who should replace him. Ooh, nice. He knows his duty. He's taken it seriously. And Éowyn did not go. Surprising. Though her brother sent word begging her to come to the field of Cormallen. And Faramir wondered at this, but he saw her seldom, being busy with many matters, and she dwelt still in the houses of healing. Dwelt still? How long has she been there? And walked alone in the garden? And her face grew pale again, and it seemed that in all the city she only was ailing and sorrowful. What in the world? And the warden of the houses was troubled, and he spoke to Faramir. Then Faramir came and sought her, and once more they stood on the walls together, and he said to her, Éowyn, why do you tarry here? And do not go to the rejoicing in Cormallen beyond Caer Andros, where your brother awaits you. And she said, do you not know? But he answered, 2 reasons there may be, but which is true, I do not know. And she said, I do not wish to play at riddles. Speak plainer. Well, I mean, you're the one making him guess. All right, be too harsh on her. But also, why is she sad? It's happy times. Read and find out. All right, I guess we're going to read and find out. Hun Clan, excellent cigar, nice. Can't get away with such things inside, but that'd be interesting. Although maybe I'd go pipe style, get a pipe going while reading. That'd be a very Lizzie thing to do. I'll have her show me how to do pipe stuff. I have my pipe. I just only used it twice. I got distracted because I was thinking about I don't have that much time to sit here and read here, but I do commute to the city, which gives me lots of bus time and walking time. And I was trying to come up with ways to capitalize on that time. I was like, if I read chapters, then I could do a little analysis of each chapter as I walk through the city, even if it is a little bit loud or obnoxious. But I do love the live reads because I'd be so lost without you guys sometimes. Telling me how to pronounce things, defining things, telling me when I need to read on or when I miss something. All right, let's see. Why is she being so sorrowful? Speak plainer. Then, if you will have it so, lady, he said, you do not go because only your brother called for you, and to look on the Lord Aragorn, Elendil's heir, in his triumph would now bring you no joy, or because I do not go, and you desire still to be near me, and maybe for both these reasons, and you yourself cannot choose between them. Éowyn, do you not love me, or will you not? I wished to be loved by another, she answered. But I desire no man's pity. That I know, he said. You desired to have the love of the Lord Aragorn, because he was high and puissant, and you wished to have renown and glory, and to be lifted far above the mean things that crawl on the earth. And as a great captain may to a young soldier, he seemed to you admirable. For so he is, a lord among men, the greatest that now is. But when he gave you only understanding and pity, then you desired to have nothing, unless a brave death in battle. Look at me, Éowyn. Wow, he is perceptive. And she said, speak plainer. That's plain. Powerful. Okay. Puissant. High and powerful indeed. Leather rose cigar. Sounds good. And Éowyn looked at Faramir long and steadily. And Faramir said, do not scorn pity. That is the gift of a gentle heart, Éowyn. But I do not offer you my pity. For you are a lady high and valiant, and have yourself won renown that shall not be forgotten. And you are a lady beautiful, I deem, beyond even the words of the elven tongue to tell. Ooh, another good line. And I love you. Whoa, L word. Once I pitied your sorrow, but now, were you sorrowless, without fear or any lack? Were you the blissful queen of Gondor? Still I would love you. Eowyn, do you not love me? Then though the heart of Eowyn changed, or else at least she understood it, and suddenly her winter passed, and the sun shone on her. I stand in Minas Anor, the tower of the sun, she said, and behold, the shadow has departed. I will be a shield maiden no longer, nor vie with the great riders, nor take joy only in the songs of slaying. I will be a healer, and love all things that grow and are not barren. And again she looked at Faramir. No longer do I desire to be a queen, she said. Then Faramir laughed merrily. That is well, he said, for I am not a king. Yet I will wed with the White Lady of Rohan, if it be her will. And if she will, then let us cross the river, and in happier days let us dwell in far Ithilien, and there make a garden. All things will grow with joy there if the White Lady comes. How did it change so definitively? I'm like, what did, like, just boom in a moment? Suddenly her winter passed, and the sun shone on her. I'm reading back to see if this is something Faramir said. Like, did he convince her? I mean, good line, you know. Beyond even the words, beauty beyond the words of the elven tongue to tell. And he declared his love twice. I think it was at least twice. And he's saying, I did pity your sorrow. But now, were you sorrowless, without fear or any lack? Were you the blissful queen of Gondor? Still I would love you. So, I'm just curious if on some level she felt like her sorrow was part of what made her beautiful. And now she knows or believes him when he says that it's not just about the sorrow, maybe. She finally understood herself. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that is good wording. She finally understood her own heart. So she had these feelings but didn't understand them yet. It clicked. She understands her heart. Okay, that tracks. I will be a healer and love all things that grow. It's interesting that Faramir wants to go to Ithilien because there's not much out there. I mean, that's where he was with his men when Frodo and Sam first run into him, right? Was that Ithilien? That was that area over there. Let me make sure. Yeah, North Ithilien, yeah, near Caer Andros, which is kind of where Aragorn and crew are right now. But it sounds like he's talking about going there to settle down, to make a garden. All things will grow with joy if the White Lady comes. I'm curious if he's gonna like build a house there or go live in that cave with her. Is that gonna be his place? Ooh, but interesting. Then must I leave my own people, man of Gondor? She said. And would you have your proud folk say of you, there goes a lord who tamed a wild shield maiden of the north? Was there no woman of the race of Númenor to choose? I would, said Faramir. Nice. And he took her in his arms and kissed her under the sunlit sky, and he cared not that they stood high upon the walls in the sight of many. And many indeed saw them, and the light that shone about them as they came down from the walls and went hand in hand to the house of healing. Wow, the light that shone about them. They were glowing, huh? She wants Hobbit-like values. Don't we all, right? Oh, Anna, interesting. There used to be cities in Ithilien. You say used to be. No more? None are labeled on the map, I guess, at least this high up view. But there could be remnants of cities or homes. That's not how I pictured it. But you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't there be? At least little villages or something. And now with evil less prominent, they can be repopulated, huh? Wow. Hand in hand to the houses of healing. Oh, and to the warden of the houses, Faramir said, "Here is the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, and now she is healed." That was the final bit of healing, huh? Getting rid of the sorrow. And the warden said, "Then I release her from my charge and bid her farewell, and may she suffer never hurt nor sickness again. I commend her to the care of the steward of the city until her brother returns." But Eowyn said, "Yet now that I have leave to depart, I would remain, for this house has become to me of all dwellings the most blessed." And she remained there until King Eomer came. Whoa, King Eomer. Feels good to hear that. Nice. So I guess she's just going to hang out in the House of Healing or whatever. Thought we were about to get a wedding going on, you know? It wouldn't surprise me if the warden could, he was ordained or something. He can do that kind of thing. Wow. Good call, Sarah. Ithilien, too close to Mordor. Recently, only brave men like Faramir would go wandering around there. But now, different. He borrowed her line from earlier in the chapter and said, "I would." Oh, I missed that parallel there. All things were now made ready in the city, and there was great concourse of people, for the tidings had gone out into all parts of Gondor, from Min Rimmon even to Pinath Gellan, and far coasts of the sea, and all that could come to the city made haste to come, and the city was filled again with women and fair children that returned to their homes laden with flowers. And from Dol Amroth came the harpers that harped most skillfully in all the land. And there were players upon viols, and upon flutes, and upon horns of silver, and clear-voiced singers from the vales of Lebanon. At last an evening came, when from the walls the pavilions could be seen upon the field, and all night lights were burning as men watched for the dawn. And when the sun rose in the clear morning above the mountains in the east, upon which shadows lay no more, then all the bells rang, and all the banners broke and flowed in the wind, and upon the white tower of the citadel the standard of the stewards, bright argent like snow in the sun, bearing no charge nor device, was raised over Gondor for the last time. Now the captains of the west led their host toward the city, and folk saw them advance in line upon line, flashing and glinting in the sunrise, and rippling like silver. And so they came before the gateway and halted a furlong from the walls, and yet no gates had been set up again. But a barrier was laid across the entrance to the city, and there stood men at arms in silver and black, with long swords drawn. Before the barrier stood Faramir, the steward, and Hurin, warden of the keys, and other captains of Gondor, and the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, with Elfhelm the marshal, and many knights of the mark. And upon either side of the gate was a great press of fair people, in raiment of many colors and garlands of flowers. Wow, they set up quite an extravagant welcome here. And wow, yeah, no gates. That was a good reminder, because I guess I pictured still like a built city, but it's that flashback to very recent past where they had an entire battle, and there's probably a lot of chaos in this city still. Chaos meaning just things strewn about, things destroyed. A lot of rebuilding still has to happen, but there's a lot of hope in this. Garlands of flowers. So now there was a wide space before the walls of Minas Tirith, and it was hemmed in upon all sides by the knights and the soldiers of Gondor and of Rohan, and by the people of the city and all parts of the land. A hush fell upon all, as out from the host stepped the Dunedain in silver and grey, and before them came walking slow the Lord Aragorn. He was clad in black mail, girt with silver, and he wore a long mantle of pure white, clasped at the throat, with a great jewel of green that shone from afar. Green jewel, we've heard this before. But his head was bare, save for a star upon his forehead, bound by a slender fillet of silver. With him were Eomer of Rohan, and the Prince Imrahil, and Gandalf robed in all white. and 4 small figures that many men marveled to see. This is a little bit of a different style, being down by the gate, or where the gate used to be. They're still on the field, right? They're out in front of the city. It's kind of all happening down there. Whoa. Nay, cousin, they are not boys, said Eorith to her kinswoman from Imloth Milui, who stood beside her. Those are Perian, out of the far country of the halflings, where they are princes of great fame, it is said. I should know, for I had one to tend in the houses. They're such celebrities. They're like bragging that she tended one. They are small, but they are valiant. Why, cousin, one of them went with only his esquire into the black country and fought with the dark lord all by himself and set fire to his tower, if you can believe it. At least that is the tale in the city. That will be the one that walks with our Elfstone. They are dear friends, I hear. Now he is a marvel, the Lord Elfstone, not too soft in his speech, mind you, but he has a golden heart, as the saying is, and he has the healing hands. The hands of the king are hands of a healer. I said, and that was how it was all discovered. And Mithrandir, he said to me, Eorith, men will long remember your words, but Eorith was not permitted to continue. The instruction of her kinswoman from the country for a single trumpet rang, and a dead silence followed. Then forth from the gate went Faramir, with Hurin of the Keys, and no other, save that behind them walked 4 men in the high helms and armor of the citadel, and they bore a great casket of black lebethron, bound with silver. That's such a funny perspective that in this moment Eorith gets the glory, so to speak, in the chapter, that she's getting to recount this and bring it up, and we're getting this little perspective from her talking to someone else. It's so great. It's like just a funny little thing I didn't expect. I thought it would approach it a little differently, or we'd get Faramir's perspective or Aragorn's, but it just to jump back to Eorith, and it's kind of like a cute approach. She's like giddy and excited about it. Faramir met Aragorn in the midst of those assembled, and he knelt and said, The last steward of Gondor begs leave to surrender his office, and he held out a white rod. But Aragorn took the rod and gave it back, saying, That office is not ended. Whew, I was just going to say, I was like, wait, what, ended? You still need a steward? Keep him. And it shall be thine, for thy heirs as long as my line shall last. Do now thy office. Beautiful. Excellent. Well done. White rod. What's this white rod? Just like a thing of silver or a white stick? Some kind of jeweled thing that means something special? Part of a staff? Then Faramir stood up and spoke in a clear voice. Men of Gondor, hear now the steward of this realm. Behold, one has come to claim the kingship again at last. Here is Aragorn, son of Arathorn, chieftain of the Dunedain of Arnor, captain of the host of the west, bearer of the star of the north, wielder of the sword reforged, victorious in battle, whose hands bring healing, the Elfstone, Elisar, of the line of Valandil, Isildur's son, Elendil's son of Numenor, shall be king and enter into the city and dwell there. Oh, shall he be king? Question. And enter into the city and dwell there. And all the host and all the people cried yea with one voice. Yeah, I mean, that's quite the introduction. And I love that it felt like he instantly went from I'm in charge to yes, I'll be the steward. I'm your biggest cheerleader now. And boom, he announces him, which feels like what a steward would do, right? And ending with a question, and people just know. They're like, oh, yeah, we're psyched on this. Absolutely, he shall be king and enter into the city and dwell there. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything in those lines. Because it's like each one of those names we've gotten little introductions to, and we kind of know things, Elisar in the line of Valandil. That one I'm questioning. We know Isildur. We know Elendil. We know the Dunedain. Bearer of the Star of the North. Is that the star necklace elven thing on his head? And then the green stone is a little different. Yeah. The white rod is a scepter. All right, you know what? That makes sense too. I'm picturing, the King of England has a little something he gets in during big moments, right? Convey authority, not a scepter. Oh, we got a little debate. Yeah, what a hype man is right. But functionally, it's a scepter. All right, so maybe it's not fully a scepter, but it's that same idea either way. Okay. All right, making sure I'm still got a good pace here. All right, yeah, I'm doing reasonable. 9 o'clock, I got bedtime in a little bit, guys. And Eorith said to her kinswoman, "This is just a ceremony, such as we have in the city, cousin, for he has already entered, as I was telling you. And he said to me," he's already been here. This is just a ceremony. He's basically king already. And then again, she was obliged to silence, for Faramir spoke again. "Men of Gondor, the lore masters tell that it was the custom of old that the king should receive the crown from his father ere he died, or if that might not be, that he should go alone and take it from the hands of his father in the tomb where he was laid. But since things must now be done otherwise, using the authority of the steward, I have today brought hither from Rath Dinan the crown of Arnor, the last king, whose days passed in the time of our long fathers of old." Then the guard stepped forward, and Faramir opened the casket. Oh, I was picturing, I thought that's what it was, right? It's a casket, this thing they're carrying, the 4 men. I was thinking it was like Theoden or someone else that maybe died in battle or some kind of, I don't know. I did not expect that, though. Okay, a past king whose days passed in time of long fathers old. Faramir opened the casket, and he held up an ancient crown. It was shaped like the helms of the guards of the citadel, save that it was loftier, and it was all white. Oh, so this is a much bigger crown than movie crown. And the wings at either side were wrought of pearl and silver in the likeness of the wings of the sea-bird, for it was the emblem of kings who came over the sea, and 7 gems of adamant were set in the circlet, and upon its summit was set a single jewel, the light of which went up like a flame. There it is again with like up like a flame. Is this just nice wording for light? Or is there magic going on here? Something a little extra special. Then Aragorn took the crown and held it up and said, "Et irelo endorena utilian, sinom maruvan hildaniar ten ambarmeta." And those were the words that Elendil spoke when he came up out of the sea on the wings of the wind. Out of the great sea to Middle-earth I am come. In this place I will abide, and my heirs unto the endings of the world. Then, to the wonder of many, Aragorn did not put the crown upon his head, but gave it back to Faramir, and said, "By the labor and valor of many I have come into my inheritance. In token of this, I would have the ring-bearer bring the crown to me, and let Mithrandir set it upon my head, if he will. For he has been the mover of all that has been accomplished, and this is his victory." Oh, the ring-bearer. Here I am just thinking weddings and whatever, and then Frodo comes forward. Okay. A little slow on that one. Wow, love that he's honoring other people, and he's immediately like trying to say, I know this is my moment, but I'm not going to let it be just mine. Other people get the credit. Gandalf and Frodo. Frodo came forward and took the crown from Faramir and bore it to Gandalf. And Aragorn knelt, and Gandalf set the white crown upon his head and said, "Now come the days of the king, and may they be blessed while the thrones of the Valar endure." But when Aragorn arose, all that beheld him gazed in silence, for it seemed to them that he was revealed to them now for the first time. Tall as the sea kings of old, he stood above all that were near. Ancient of days he seemed, and yet In the flower of manhood and wisdom sat upon his brow, and strength and healing were in his hands, and a light was about him. And then Faramir cried, "Behold, the king!" And in that moment all the trumpets were blown, and the king Elisar went forth and came to the barrier, and Hurin of the keys thrust it back, and amid the music of harp and of viol, and of flute, and of singing clear voices, the king passed through the flower-laden streets, and came to the citadel, and entered it. And the banner of the tree and the stars was unfurled upon the topmost tower, and the reign of King Elisar began, of which many songs have told. Yeah, I bet many songs have told, and I want to hear them all. Big moments. Big moments. Ooh. Aragorn is no longer concealing himself? Interesting. I like that thought. The song he sings at the coronation. Yeah, Ken, exactly. That's kind of what I was picturing. And I kind of hope we're getting that, right? We would. Yeah, they would. It's got to be here, right? So Sarah, you're saying Aragorn has kind of been concealing himself on purpose, and now it feels so intentional, Aragorn doing this, where at first I was thinking it was more of just in the moment because he is the king, the power of the people that have come before him, but that's always been in him all along, and now he is just revealing it fully, consciously or subconsciously. Yeah, you're right. There's never enough. We just want to know even more. And I just took a peek at the next words. And I'm like, oh man, in his time, the city was made more fair than it had ever been. And just that one little line that I took a peek at, I'm like, oh no, there it is. That's what I was afraid of. We're flying through time. In his time, and now all of a sudden we just like got a peek at his whole reign. And I'm like, hold up, he just became king. Give us some time to soak this in, all right? But JRR does that a few times, you know? He jumps to like the end of the story just to give us perspective on something. I'm hoping we come right on back so we can soak this in a little bit. In his time, the city was made more fair than it had ever been, even in the days of its first glory. And it was filled with trees and with fountains, and its gates were wrought with mithril and steel. What the? And its streets were paved with white marble. And the folk of the mountain labored in it, and the folk of the wood rejoiced to come there, and all was healed and made good. And the houses were filled with men and women, and the laughter of children, and no window was blind, nor any courtyard empty. And after the ending of the third age of the world, into the new age, it preserved the memory and the glory of the years that were gone. Whoa. That packed an awful lot into one sentence. One paragraph, I mean. Thankfully, it jumps back. In the days that followed his crowning, the king sat on his throne in the hall of the kings and pronounced his judgments. And embassies came from many lands and peoples, from the east and the south, and from the borders of the Mirkwood, and from the Dunland or Dunland in the west. And the king pardoned the Easterlings that had given themselves up, and sent them away free. And he made peace with the peoples of Harad. And the slaves of Mordor he released, and gave to them all the lands about Lake Nirnan. Huh. Lake Nirnan. On my map it says Sea of Nirnan. It can be a little bit both, but aren't seas more saltwater and lakes not? I made that up, but that's how I think. Lake Nirnan to be their own. And there were brought before him many to receive his praise and reward for their valor. And last the captain of the guard brought to him Baragon to be judged. Baragon, my boy. And the king said to Baragon, by your sword blood was spilled in the hallows, where that is forbidden. Also you left your post without leave of lord or of captain. For these things of old, death was the penalty. Now therefore I must pronounce your doom. All penalty is remitted for your valor in battle, and still more because all that you did was for the love of the Lord Faramir. Nonetheless, you must leave the guard of the citadel, and you must go forth from the city of Minas Tirith. That's kind of intense. I was hoping your valor in battle, and it was for the love of Faramir, but because of honor, because he did betray. Ooh, yikes. You must go forth. I hope there's a little more of a happy ending. Go forth, what? To live somewhere great and do great things? Then the blood left Baragon's face, and he was stricken to the heart and bowed his head. But the king said, oh, here comes a little bit of hope. So it must be, for you are appointed to the White Company, the guard of Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, and you shall be its captain, and dwell in Emin Arnon. There we go. In honor and peace, and in the service of him for whom you risked all, to save him from death. And then Baragon, perceiving this mercy and justice of the king, was glad, and kneeling kissed his hand, and departed in joy and content. And Aragorn gave Faramir Ithilien to be his princedom, and bade him dwell in the hills of Emin Arnon, within sight of the city. Yeah, it's not giving me all the Oh, no, I see that. Okay. Oh, okay. Emin Arnon. I'm like moving so you can see it barely on the side of my screen here. So Emin Arnon is the lower section of hills south of Osgiliath. I've been looking at North Ithilien, where I think Frodo and Sam ran into him, and then went down to Osgiliath and then over to Minas Morgul. But I didn't picture all of that being Ithilien. Maybe everything east of the river in that section there between river and mountain. Okay, cool. So Emin Arnon on the south side is, and then it says South Ithilien. Okay, that is a big old chunk for him to be prince of, this steward here, and then for Baragon to be appointed to guard him. Appointed to the White Company. Is that only for Faramir, or is there like additional White Company for Aragorn? Wow. All right. Good. Whew. Aragorn had me going there, just like he had Baragon going. Wow. Good correction, Ken. Good correction. I got movie stuff locked into my head. They didn't go to Osgiliath. So true. They went straight down and the crossroads, and that's where they went towards Minas Morgul. Good reminder. I don't want to blend these two together, you know? Yeah, agreed. White is the color of the stewards. So the White Guard is, Baragon is head of the White Guard, or the White Company, to guard Faramir. Perfect. And I like that the hills of Emin Arnon are within sight of the city. It makes sense. They're just over the river. I mean, just over the river. It is far away, but they can see the city. There's something comforting about that. Easy to get back and forth. For, said he, Minas Ithil in Morgul Vale shall be utterly destroyed. Oh. That Minas Ithil is that's what we call Minas Morgul, right? Where the ringwraiths were. And though it may in time to come be made clean, no man may dwell there for many long years. Because there's like deeper, I was going to say deeper evil. We have questions about the water going on over there. I'm just curious if this is more symbolic. I mean, you don't need another city, but destroying cities. Wow, they must be in a time of plenty if they can just destroy cities for the sake of the symbolism of it. And last of all, Aragorn greeted Éomer of Rohan, and they embraced. And Aragorn said, between us there can be no words of giving or taking, nor of reward, for we are brethren. In happy hour did Earl ride from the north, and never has any league of people been more blessed, so that neither has ever failed the other, nor shall fail. Now, as you know, we have laid Theoden the Renowned in a tomb in the Hallows, and there he shall lie forever among the kings of Gondor. if you will. I was going to say, that sounds like a little bit intense at the beginning, because I could picture Eomer saying he should be with his forefathers back in Rohan. So I'm curious if he's going to embrace that and say, there's such honor to be in the king, with other kings of Gondor. Or, if you desire it, we will come to Rohan and bring him back to rest with his own people. I kind of like that better, and I think Eomer would want that, and Eowyn too, for that matter. And Eomer answered, since the day when you rose before me out of the green grass of the downs, I have loved you, and that love shall not fail. But now I must depart for a while to my own realm, where there is much to heal and set in order. Fair point, yeah. But as for the fallen, when all is made ready, we will return for him. But here, let him sleep a while. Yeah, see, that's it. Exactly. Don't bring him back now. They're going to get things ready. Let him rest here. That feels, I like that, that kind of wording, and it's how we talk about death sometimes. It's like as if someone is sleeping. You don't want to disturb them. Let them rest here, and we'll bring him when it's ready. I'm thinking of, my son when he's resting, trying to do these transfers from car seat to napping to whatever if he's asleep. It's like they want him to be in peace here, and then they will transfer him when they can have an easy transition and bring him back in peace, and then rest him also peacefully back in Rohan. So I like that. Let me make sure I'm getting that. Yep, to heal and set in order. Let him sleep a while. And Eowyn said to Faramir, now I must go back to my own land and look on it once again, and help my brother in his labor. But when one whom I long loved as a father is laid at last to rest, I will return. That's pretty intense. I do respect it, though. I felt like when she was choosing Faramir, she was kind of choosing him instead of that path. But I respect that she still has to go back with Eomer and make sure the land is healed again, and come back. And the fact that there's like an end in sight, come back for my father, then lay him to rest. Well, not father. Yeah. Anyway, lay him to rest and then come back. That's why that Freudian slip there. Long loved as a father, because basically I think of them that way. So glad the days passed, and on the 8th... so the glad days passed, and on the 8th day of May, the riders of Rohan made ready. Okay, that was quicker than I thought. So this is all within 8 days of May, because it was the eve of May. So just over a week of all of what we've discussed here. Because now I'm like, Eowyn, don't be gone too long. I mean, come on now. Be with your man. Riders of Rohan made ready and rode off by the north way, and with them went the sons of Elrond. Ooh, yeah. All the road was lined with people to do them honor and praise them, from the gate of the city to the walls of the Pelennor. Then all others that dwelt afar went back to their homes rejoicing. But in the city there was labor of many willing hands to rebuild and renew, and to remove all the scars of war and the memory of the darkness. The hobbits still remained in Minas Tirith with Legolas and Gimli, for Aragorn was loth for the fellowship to be dissolved. At last all such things must end, he said, but I would have you wait a little while longer, for the end of the deeds that you have shared in has not yet come. Love that. So true, so true. Hang out, the boys, okay? Fellowship is not over. It just made me so sad that they were going to be breaking it all up here. So I love that Legolas and Gimli are here. All the hobbits, so good. Loth for the fellowship to be dissolved. Yeah, me too. But what does he mean when he said, the end of deeds you have shared has not yet come? Has it not? Wow. Levine or Levine. Your daughter named one of your new chicks Eowyn. Great name choice. Love it. Wow, getting to name a bunch of chickens. Lord of the Rings names. Love it. I mean, yeah, true. There could definitely be leftover orcs. Wait, could there? Or would they kind of get vaporized, dusted? Whoa, Barrow Downs. Whoa, I feel like I've missed things in here. We're talking about Barrow Downs and ecological disaster. Chernobyl. I mean, Sassmaster. Whoa. Oh, and yes, Minas Morgul. Good. I was fairly certain about that. Thanks for clarifying, Sarah. And it's corrupted, not just symbolic. I was hoping the corruption would also disappear with Sauron. So some of the evil is still around, that corruption. Okay. Polluted beyond quick recovery. That's the Chernobyl comparison. Okay. So it's like, we got to give this time. There's too much radioactive stuff. There's a half-life on evil. Okay. More and appendices ancestry stuff. Good, good, good. Whoa, Shane A. Shayna, welcome back to Alive. Glad you can make it back. Yeah, it's a lot harder with children. I get it. Wow, what a time though, because there is healing to do everywhere, like you said at the end. And they're doing it. And I'm glad Aragorn has the fellowship here to help him. And if that's what you're saying is the shared deed yet to come, agreed. A day draws near that I have looked for in all the years of my manhood, and when it comes, I would have my friends beside me. But of that day, he would say no more. Oh, he's being mysterious about what that day is? His wedding day? Ooh. In those days, I gotta... In those days, the companions of the ring dwelt together in a fair house with Gandalf. Oh, Gandalf too. This is so sick. They're all just hanging out. I want to be in that house just hanging out. And they went to and fro as they wished. And Frodo said to Gandalf, "Do you know what this day is that Aragorn speaks of? For we are happy here, and I don't wish to go, but the days are running away, and Bilbo is waiting, and the Shire is my home." "As for Bilbo," said Gandalf, "he is waiting for the same day, and he knows what keeps you. And as for the passing of the days, it is now only May, and high summer is not yet in. And though all things may seem changed, as if an age of the world had gone by, yet to the trees and the grass, it is less than a year since you set out." He's putting that in perspective, which is kind of crazy. It's been less than a year since you set out. Like, basically, relax. You got time. Just chill for a second. And also, I think from this wording, I pictured a bit of a time jump too. But it's still May. It is still May. The ring was only barely destroyed, so you could relax there, Frodo. "Pippin," said Frodo, "didn't you say that Gandalf was less close than of old? He was weary of his labors then, I think. Now he is recovering." And Gandalf said, "Many folk like to know beforehand what is to be set on the table, but those who have labored to prepare the feast like to keep their secret. For wonder makes the words of praise louder, and Aragorn himself waits for a sign." Wise words. Aragorn waits for a sign. Interesting. There's a lot more build up to this. Nice. Morning, Brett. Hit the beach. Respect. There came a day when Gandalf could not be found, and the companions wondered what was going forward. But Gandalf took Aragorn out from the city by night, and he brought him to the southern feet of Mount Mindalluin. And there they found a path, made in ages past, that few now dared to tread, for it led up to the mountain to a high hollow where only the kings had been wont to go. And they went up by steep ways until they came to a high field, the snows that clad the lofty peaks, and looked down over the precipice that stood behind the city. And standing there, they surveyed the lands. For the morning was come, and they saw the towers of the city far below them like white pencils touched by the sunlight. And all the vale of Anduin was like a garden, and the mountains of shadow were veiled in a golden mist. Upon the one side their sight reached to the grey Emyn Mule, and the glint of the Rhoros was like a star twinkling far off, and upon the other side they saw the river like a ribbon laid down to Pelargir, and beyond that was a light on the hem of the sky that spoke of the sea. I can picture it. I can picture them high above Minas Tirith, looking down and seeing an awful lot. I'm just seeing where the Emyn Mule is. It's wow, yeah, that is so stinking far. They can see that far. Um, I guess it makes this whole area feel a little bit smaller. I know it's not that big, and we've kind of discussed the size of Middle Earth as we went, but that makes it feel even closer. That they can see that far. Yeah, kind of looking out over the kingdom, and even glimpses of the sea. Oh, but that would be like almost like truly opposite side of them. Wow. It just feels like a big moment. What are they building to? And Gandalf said, "This is your realm, and the heart of the greater realm that shall be. The third age of this world is ended." Wow, Gandalf just he's like declaring this stuff, He's like, they know this is the end of an age. A new age begins, and the new age is begun. And it is your task to order its beginning and to preserve what may be preserved. For though much has been saved, much must now pass away. And the power of the three rings also is ended. And all the lands that you see, and those that lie round about them, shall be dwellings of men. For the time comes of the dominion of men, and the elder kindred shall fade or depart. "I know it well, dear friend," said Aragorn, "but I would still have your counsel." "Not for long now," said Gandalf. "The third age was my age." Oh my goodness, this is too much. Wow, this is such a big moment. He is setting the stage. And it's like the sadness begins because he's saying that my time is over. I have done what I was here to do. I must move on. But he's also giving him good words, and telling him, well, the three rings has ended. Wait, what were the three rings? I mean, the one ring, sure. What were the other ones? I'm thinking the elven rings, right? But how many did the elves get? Did they only get three? Are those the three rings? And it's saying the time of the elves is ended? So it's not the one ring. It's just the one. Elrond has one. And Galadriel. Is the third one lost? Anyway. The three elven rings. Okay, it was only three. Yes, because one was lost. Am I right on that one? Okay. But it's just saying the time of the elves has ended, which is even more sad. And Aragorn's waiting for some additional stuff going on with the elves here. So I'm wondering if he's stressed about this. Connected, not corrupted. All right, good. So nothing. Gandalf is just saying the elves. "I was the enemy of Sauron, and my work is finished. I shall go soon. The burden must lie now upon you and your kindred." "But I shall die," said Aragorn, "for I am a mortal man, and though being what I am, and of the race of the West unmingled, I shall have life far longer than other men, yet that is but a little while, and when those who are now in the wombs of women are born and have grown old, I too shall grow old." So he'll do like a double life here, like he can live 2 generations. "And who then shall govern Gondor, and those who look to this city as to their queen, if my desire be not granted?" So he doesn't know if his desire shall be granted yet. "The tree in the court of the fountain is still withered and barren. When shall I see a sign that it will ever be otherwise? Turn your face from the green world and look where all seems barren and cold," said Gandalf. Then Aragorn turned, and there was a stony slope behind him. Turn. Oh, is this like a convoluted way to say turn around? Um, then Aragorn turned, and there was a stony slope behind him, running down from the skirts of the snow. And as he looked, he was aware that alone there in the waste a growing thing stood. And he climbed to it, and saw that out of the very edge of the snow there sprang a sapling tree no more than 3 foot high. Already it had put forth young leaves, long and shapely, dark above and silver beneath, and upon its slender crown it bore one small cluster of flowers, whose white petals shone like the sunlit snow. I'm getting some answers. All you Raffo people, you were not kidding. You were not kidding. Oh, third ring is Raffo? Even the third ring is Raffo? Then Aragorn cried, Ye Utavienes, I have found it. Lo, here is a scion to the eldest of trees. But how comes it here? For it is not itself yet 7 years old. I don't know exactly what that means. And Gandalf, coming, looked at it and said, Verily, this is a sapling of the line of Nimloth the Fair, and that was a seedling of Galathilion, and that a fruit of Teperian of many names, eldest of trees. Are these all names for trees? Nimloth the Fair? Galathilion? Who shall say how it comes here in the appointed hour? But this is an ancient hallow, and ere the kings failed, or the tree withered in the court, a fruit must have been set here. For it is said that though the fruit of the tree comes seldom to ripeness, yet the life within may then lie sleeping through many long years, and none can foretell the time in which it will awake. None can foretell the time? Seems like Gandalf can foretell the time. Remember this, for if ever a fruit ripens, it should be planted, lest the line die out of the world. Here it has lain hidden on the mountain, even as the race of Elendil lay hidden in the wastes of the north. Yet the line of Nimloth is older far than your line, King Elisar. Fascinating. Even the trees have history. Yeah, you're not kidding. Incredible. And I've been getting into trees recently. We don't have that many old trees around here. Although when I was in England, I saw some old trees that were pretty epic. And in France, on our honeymoon, actually, we were staying in some castle. It was epic. And they said, go to the back and check out this old tree. It's an oak. It's like 250 years old. And then we went to the back and we're like, wait, how do we know? Is there like a plaque or something that we'll know what it is? And the dude laughs and he's like, you'll know. And we're like walking through this garden, like looking at trees, like, is it that one? Is it that one? And then we just like come out and there's a gigantic tree. It's massive. It's so cool. And we knew immediately. And we're like, that is the tree. It is so much cooler than any of these other trees. And, I don't know. It just made me appreciate old trees. There's something about them. And I've maybe even told that story when it comes to all this Ent stuff that we've read about. But this is bringing it right up again. Recently, I've been trying to find the biggest, oldest, and widest tree in New Jersey. Haven't found it yet. I think I found the oldest. But the girthiest one is harder to find. Tallest one, debatable. Anyway, I'm going to go search for it. It's off in the woods somewhere. But for now, this tree will have to scratch that itch. Wow. And I'm wondering if Aragorn knows all about this tree lore too, or is this just a Gandalf thing? Like, is Aragorn like confused by this, or is this like stuff people know? Like they read fairy tales about this as kids. Galathilion. And I love when you guys are saying trees have massive history, and I'm going to have to read the Silmarillion to find out more. Man, I'm going to like the Silmarillion. This is great. Then Aragorn laid his hand gently to the sapling, and lo, It seemed to hold only lightly to the earth, and it was removed without hurt. And Aragorn bore it back to the citadel. And this is like answering the question I had at the beginning of the chapter. It's like so great. I'm like, what does that mean? Now I feel like I have to read it again. What did it say exactly? Replanted? Then the withered tree was uprooted. The withered tree was uprooted, but with reverence. And they did not burn it, but laid it to rest in the silence of Rath Dinan. That's where the kings are kept, right? They laid it to rest. Does every king get a tree? And this was the last king's tree, and now Aragorn's planting his tree? I'm just making things up, but they laid it to rest. And Aragorn planted the new tree in the court by the fountain, and swiftly and gladly it began to grow. By the fountain, yeah. And when the month of June entered, it was laden with blossom. The sign had been given, said Aragorn, and the day is not far off. And he set watchmen upon the walls. So, well, I mean, yeah, Aragorn knows this tree lore. This is a sign, and he knows this right away. He's saying, this must be, an heir is coming, which means a woman is coming. And he's getting psyched. Yeah, I feel like, well, I'm just going to peek. See if I happen to highlight that at the beginning. What that exact wording was. Where did it say that? You know, maybe it wasn't that far at the beginning. I'll have to go find it later. It was the day before midsummer, when messengers came from Amon-Din to the city. And they said that there was a riding of fair folk out of the north, and they drew near now to the walls of the Pelennor. And the king said, At last they have come. Let all the city be made ready. Upon the very eve of midsummer, when the sky was blue as sapphire, and white stars opened in the east, but the west was still golden, and the air was cool and fragrant, the riders came down the north way to the gates of Minas Tirith. First rode Elrohir and Aladdin with a banner of silver, and then came Glorfindel, oh yeah, Glorfindel, and Arestor, and all the household of Rivendell. And after them came the Lady Galadriel and Celeborn, the Lord of Lothlorien, riding upon white steeds, and with them many fair folk of their land, grey-cloaked with white gems in their hair. And last came Master Elrond, mighty among elves and men, bearing the scepter of Enumenas, and beside him, upon a grey palfrey, rode Arwen, his daughter, Evenstar of her people. Oh, that's so epic. I don't even know what this scepter is. It feels like they're just like throwing that in there. All of a sudden we got a big old scepter. But I loved hearing Master Elrond, mighty among elves and men. Again, the mightiness, maybe I'm projecting too much in physical stature, but it feels like he is just something to behold. And how come we got a gray palfrey? That's a horse, right? And then we hear that Galadriel and Celeborn are on white steeds, but we didn't hear anything about Glorfindel. Shouldn't he be riding Asphalloth? And I was hoping we'd get another little horse shout out, you know? It was like all this horse lore. We got to hear those names, you know? And Frodo, when he saw her come glimmering in the evening with stars on her brow and a sweet fragrance about her, was moved with great wonder. And he said to Gandalf, At last I understand why we have waited. Oh, all right, it's clicking for Frodo real quick. This is the ending. Now, not day only shall be beloved, but night too shall be beautiful and blessed, in all its fear pass away. And all its fear pass away. Wait. Not day only shall be loved, but night too shall be beautiful. Is this like the stars, elven stuff? I feel like that went over my head. Why is Palfrey's a riding horse? Nice, not a war horse. Peace times, like that. Ooh, is that why Asphalloth isn't here? Because he's a war horse. All right, elvish stuff. So they are stars. They're representing nighttime. Now this is good for night. The even star. Okay, sure, I get it. Still feels like a slightly funny thing for Frodo to say. Well, it's just like he went into like the high level so quickly. It's like first he's talking about the practical of like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. But then he's like using the flowery language. Threw me off for a sec. All right. Night too shall be beautiful and blessed, for all its fear pass away. Then the king welcomed his guests, and they all alighted. And Elrond surrendered the scepter, and laid the hand of his daughter in the hand of the king. And together they went up into the high city, and all the stars flowered in the sky. There's all the stars. There it is. Okay, Frodo knew. Frodo knew what he was talking about. And Aragorn, the King Elisar, wedded Arwen Undumiel in the city of the kings upon the day of midsummer. And the tale of their long waiting and labors was come to fulfillment. Oh, you're killing me. Honestly, of course it's great. But we do this whole thing, and we're waiting for the wedding. And then this little paragraph right there that's the wedding. It just happened. That's it. Surrender the scepter. Does Aragorn keep this forever or just symbolic for a thing? I don't know. We'll get to it later. Appendices. Silmarillion. I don't know. Hand of his daughter into the hand of the king. Okay, that's very wed. We know that. Handing over who gives this lady to be married to this man. I love that. Super cute. I'm going to put a heart in the margins here. But my complaint is that I wanted a whole chapter for the wedding. You know what I mean? Have we even heard like Arwen speak? I wanted that to be so much more. I wanted to get a whole round 2 of that chapter before, right after the ring was destroyed, where it's all about celebration and they're all hanging out and having a good time. I wanted another one of those chapters, but with more elves involved now, and Elrond's there, and Gandalf's dancing, and I want the whole thing. I want to hear more of this Aragorn romance after all of this with Arwen, and I could have done a whole wedding chapter. And you know what? When our TV show comes out, I hope we get a full episode on this, right? Sorry, Brett. I don't know Richard Burton. Do I know him? Is this a writer? Is this a TV guy? I don't know. But if Richard Burton would have made a longer wedding chapter, then I'd be into him. Sarah, thank you for saving me. Thanks, Ken. This tale is in the appendices. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better because I need to read it. And it needs to be long and satisfying, and maybe the appendices won't fully do it. But this wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me. I'm super psyched about it. It's so great. And Aragorn, the King Elisar, wedded Arwen Undumiel in the city of the kings upon the day of midsummer. That's got to mean something special too, like right on the day. And the tale of their long waiting and labors was come to fulfillment. And that is super happy and cute, and I love that. Just the disappointment of not getting more information right here. And I want to sit in that for a little bit. And while we're at it, Eowyn too, run it back. Dual wedding. All right, fine. Give them their own weddings, but I want both of them. 2 wedding chapters in a row. We could combine it in one episode of TV, right? Wow. That was a good chapter. You guys weren't kidding. You weren't kidding at all. Definitely deserves a longer story, and I think that's why Peter Jackson gave it to them. Gave them a lot more screen time than they got page time. Arwen in particular. But Eowyn got a lot more page time recently, which I think was great. But I really thought we were going to get that with Arwen. We still might get a little bit more, and, I'll see what is to come. Is this a Raffo moment? Can only hope. Just took a peek. Next chapter. I'm going to put my bookmark here so I get to rediscover the next chapter again next time. But many partings. Whoa. Not ready for any partings, if you ask me. Because there can't be many chapters left at this point. All right, well, I know that we have in the past done more detail about wedding nights that you would be comfortable reading on YouTube. Oh, really? There's more. And yeah, bring tissues. You ain't kidding. Yeah. I'm not ready for partings. That's pretty funny. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Richard Francis Burton. So favorite character in this chapter? I'll say Faramir. I feel like we got some good Faramir moments. He had a lot of page time, so it's a bit cheating to give him favorite character, but he was. And then at the end, how could you not love Aragorn? I was going to say Aragorn hot tamale, but it doesn't feel quite right. Maybe I should swap those. Faramir's the hot tamale because he's given all that hot tamale energy, professing his love. And Aragorn, favorite character, because he was really the driving force here. We were waiting for him all chapter to come back. But the beginning of the chapter, still being in suspense with the people of Gondor in Minas Tirith, was kind of like cool, knowing how it already ended. Yeah, and then Faramir, hot tamale. Favorite moment, I'll say, I feel like, there were a few good moments. Yeah, I still am thinking about Faramir, but you know what? What's her name? Eoreth? Eoreth? I feel like that might have been my favorite moment just because we're getting this like close-up perspective. It just felt so real but funny, and it's a big moment with Aragorn coming back to the city, and that was the moment of shifting, because from then on, I feel like I was in a dream. It just happened fast, and everything's bright and sunny as I'm reading. I'm like, it just feels so happy and hopeful, which is something we haven't felt for so long. Yeah, just like being in a dream. But it didn't feel that way before that. For whatever reason, to me, it was still in the moment. But then, everything got brighter. Everything got happier. A new age began. So, yeah, that moment, I feel like that was the moment where it all shifted, down there with the crown and Frodo bringing it over to Gandalf and Gandalf putting it on Aragorn's head. Pretty cool. And then the steward, Faramir, declaring him kind of the king, saying it out loud, giving his big old bunch of names. So yeah, many partings. I'm imagining what the next chapter will be. Well, self-explanatory in some ways, but I'll give my guesses. I should have done that at the beginning of this one. What do I think the chapter will be? I've done a few times, but I think that brings us to the end, guys. Yeah, Eorith always bringing the levity. Wow, you did stay, Anna. Well done. You made it. 2:30. Impressive. Thanks for staying up, and thank you for all of you guys for staying through this. It was great. Thanks for all your beautiful insights. Waiting for all the beauty to come in these books, Got a couple stacked up, ready to read. It's going to be good. The word Namari. Has that not come up yet? Or am I just forgetting it? I don't think it's come up, but I can't remember the longer one. So that's how we're going to end it. Even though I feel like I shouldn't be because I don't know enough about it. But Namari, everyone. Thanks for joining. Till next time. Thanks, guys. I love you all. Whoa, 2 hours. This was a good one. We made it. Go team.